Nancy, yeah, really hard listening to Whelan on the phone there. We know that his attorney joined CBS News Primetime with John Dickerson last night. We want to listen to some of that sound and then talk to you on the other end. Here we go.
Family's filled with a variety of complex emotions, and everyone can be assured that they're going to continue fighting for Paul, and that Paul's going to continue to fight to have his voice heard.
Nancy, what else are we hearing from the White House about Whelan?
Well, they say that they are just as committed as ever to trying to get him home. They say they are actively negotiating. What they don't say, of course, is what kind of swap they might be prepared to do to get Paul Whelan home. And his sister was actually on CBS Mornings today, expressing gentle frustration, I would say, certainly saying that she doesn't begrudge the White House for bringing Brittney Griner home when they had an opportunity, at the same time asking why did it work for her and not work for Paul. So there's a great deal of concern coming from the family that now that Victor Bout, this convicted arms dealer, has been traded away, that the U.S. doesn't have a similar bargaining chip that it can use to try to haggle to bring Paul Whelan home.
Yeah, and you mentioned that in your story, the criticism over trading a basketball player for an international arms dealer and leaving, another American behind in Russia. So what is the White House saying about, why Bout was selected and whether or not anyone else was offered up?
Right. So they're saying a couple of things. First of all, they're saying that they really didn't have the choice about whether to bring Brittney Griner or Paul Whelan or both home, that the Russians said they were willing to trade Bout for Griner, and that's it. The Russians have always put Whelan in a bit of a different category from other U.S. individuals in their holding, because they've accused him of espionage, and they're not going to be as willing, it appears, to just trade him away. So the question is, what do they want in order for the U.S. to bring him home? That is something of an open question. What U.S. officials are saying about Bout is that, yes, he does have a pretty lengthy record, and he's someone who at one point was very dangerous to Americans, but they argue that he served more than half of his sentence, that he was going to be released in 2029 anyway, that the arms trade has changed a lot while he's been in prison, and that they don't anticipate that he will be as much of a danger to Americans as he was before, though they say they plan to monitor it.
And Nancy, back to Brittney Griner for a moment. We heard her on the plane as she was coming over here. She didn't even know where she was going.
So true.
And she landed in San Antonio. So what does a reacclimation process look like for her, and what happens next?
Well, based on everything we've heard so far from her family members, her wife Sherelle, from the president, she seems to be in pretty good spirits and pretty upbeat. And so if that remains the case, then perhaps she won't have to stay in San Antonio for very long. She's going to be evaluated at Brooke Army Medical Center there. They'll provide care if she needs it. Physical care, mental care. I mean, she's just been through a tremendous ordeal. Sometimes the effects of that ordeal don't pop up right away. They can be lingering. And so the U.S. government, the U.S. military, are prepared to provide her with any kind of care and treatment that she needs. But certainly if she wants to go home sooner rather than later to Phoenix to be with her family and her friends and her teammates, all indications are that she will be welcome to do that. And then as far as her next steps are concerned, whether she's going to return to playing basketball at the level that she did before and how soon, all of those things remain to be seen and depend in part on this reacclimation process, which can sometimes be very difficult after the kind of trauma that she has been through over the past 10 months.
Of course, Russian penal colony, not a nice place to be. Who knows what she had to endure there. Nancy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.